Hey everybody, welcome to Week 5 recap of the ESPN Fantasy Football. I'm going to go through it quick, and I say that every week, I know, but here we are. So, Dylan, jump right into it. Dylan ended up beating me 113 to 99. Oh, that Tyreek Hill, man. Something else. So, I did not score nearly as much as what my projected was about 110-ish, right what he scored. And I was projected to win. I was projected to win 4 out of the 5 games this year. I've won 2 of those 4. So, I never know. This was almost a very identical score. 113 to 96. Brandon beat Maria. Maria falls to 1-4 after a great season last year. Her players never seem to be playing, and she even had 22 on the defense, and Justin Fields with 32. But that's really the main scorers of the whole team for her, so nobody else really scored much after that. Colby loses for the first time in a while after getting a high, almost a 200 last week, getting only 101.92, losing to my dad 116 to 101. Chuck gets his second win as Bud Fox's, and then 92 to 73 over Zach Flippin. And then down here we scroll down. Husband and wife went head to head, and wife comes out on top, 123 to 96. Caitlin over Matt Fisher. Down here, Pat after scoring 60 points the week before, scores 160 this week against the other Matt. 160 to 93 win for Pat as he goes to 3-2. And then down here, Gary had projected, even come into the last and final game, the player was projected to beat Bill. Bill got this by far the lowest score of the whole season, still managed to win by 4 points over Gary, as the only winless team loses to the only undefeated team, as it could have flipped very easily right there, as we could have had a first-time loser and a first-time winner in the same week against each other. Andrew gets creamed 156 to 64 over Mason. Jamar Chase with 52 points. I didn't even notice that. Jesus. And George Pickens with 26.6. So 2 big players on Mason's team really boosted his score. Look, Jamar Chase by himself almost scored more than Andrew's team. Just looking at that. That's amazing. Wow. So that's the quick scoreboard. We're going to move on to the detailed results. Let me do something real quick. Let me get this all set up on here, because I was going to show this afterwards. Forgot to get this ready to go. But, okay. And then here's the detailed results with Dylan's team over mine. I'm really upset about this bench. George Kittle with 10.3. Oh no, that's what his projected. I was gonna say I thought he scored more than that. 27 on the bench. If I had him in, I would have won by far. I mean, Laporta scored good too. 19.7 for a tight end. If I only put Kittle in as well, had a game of his life last week. And man, if I had him in, we would have won for sure. But lost 113. See the projections? It was exactly the opposite. I was projected at 115. He scored 113 out, and I scored 99 when he was projected 99. So it literally just like flipped. That's Tano scored 9 points. Daniel Jones with 7. I decided to drop Daniel Jones right now, so I no longer have Daniel Jones. I got rid of him and got I picked up Gardner Minshew for next week, so I made that move. I got tired of I can't deal with Daniel Jones anymore. He scored over 10 like one time this year, and that was only in the second half of the game he came back in. I don't know how they ever came back in that because that team sucks really bad. But yeah, over here, Tyreek Hill just domination. So we'll move on to the next one here, and Brandon. Oh, I thought that was his first. That's right. He won 2 in a row, I think. He was 0-3. And gets 2 in a row. Derek Carr with 15, Montgomery 20. A lot of double digits on his team up here in the top half. And she scored nothing with Irv Smith. Scored nothing. So unfortunate because Justin Fields played on Thursday night and had a 32 right off the bat, so she was looking good for the week. And then Sunday comes along, and nobody really backs him up. Jared Goff had 27 on the bench, and it was even it wasn't even the best quarterback score. So, the kicker on the bench scored 17, but not much else to really talk about here. I'm just looking through. Yeah, we'll move on to the next one here. Colby's team with that domination last week. Garoppolo only scoring 10. My dad was projected at 87. Look at the projection. He was projected to lose by almost 30. 40. He was projected to lose by almost 40 and won by 15. How about talk about a swing of events? Now, on Thursday night, DJ Moore for Chicago scored 49 for my dad right off the bat. So that alone right there started his week off. He was 35 points over his projected score. So that was pretty much the whole boost of points right there. And he even had Quentin Johnson, never took him out from a bye week in the flex spot. So he had a 0 and still won. And dominated the projected score by 30. That's crazy. With a 0, he was over his projected score by 30. So 28 for Breece Hall. That was another big score. So Colby had a couple big scores, but not much else. That's what benches look like. And we'll move on to the next one here. And Chuck with his second win, 92-73. Mahomes with 19 last week. And then, I mean, that's not really big scores over here, but this was even worse on this side. The kicker on Zach Flippin's team scored the most points of the team. That's never the case usually, ever. The kicker has the most points. London in the bench had 14. Oof, and he had Zach Moss 33 on the bench. Oof. His bench almost outscored his lineup. Man, that's rough. Moving on to the next one here. Lamar Jackson scored only 9 last week. And pretty high score on the left, but even higher on the right. Josh Allen with 27.76. That quarterback difference was probably the main thing that was the biggest thing, because this almost matched. The 16.8 beat the 10.9. So if we put them across from each other, they almost beat them all. this 18 defense is good, but Steelers defense scored 17, so really wasn't much difference there. So the benches, Sam Howell on the bench with 25 would have been, if he was in that position, I think he would have been just shy, I think. So move on to Pat's team, the highest score of the week. Or maybe it was the second highest score of the week. I think Mason had more, actually, now that I think of it. He had a 36, a 22, a 27, and almost a 20, all on the one team. And Burrow had 23 over here. So that's what that looked like. Man, what a difference in score from one week to the next. Lows to highs. Here's the matchup that was crazy, that Gary had 2 buys in there. He had a kicker on the bench, but he did not have another tight end. So that was the only tight end he had, so he had nobody to replace this anyway. But he did have another kicker that would have won. He had 7 points. He only lost by 4. So if he had that kicker in, he would have won and been the first one to knock off Bill and get his first win. Dallas Goedert, 25.7. Highest scorer on the team. Highest over here was Cooper Kupp with 19. And the benches. Now over here. Oh no, Pat did get the highest. Mason was the second best scorer. So 26, George Pickens, but that Jamar Chase, 52 points. Jesus. And not much over here on Andrew's side. Not really much on the bench either that he could have even done. So, I mean, there's not much else Andrew really could have done that week. St. Brown didn't get any points for him. Actually, he was projected at 0, so I don't know what happened there. But, that's the last one. Looking through that. So, the standings after week 1, or after week 5, Bill still remains the only unbeaten team. Dylan is the only 4-1 team. And then all the 3-2 teams, we have Caitlin, Colby, Pat, Matt, Zach Flippin, and Matt Fisher. And then the 2-3 teams involve me. I'm the highest scoring 2-3 team. And then my dad, Mason, Chuck, Andrew, and Brandon all at 2-3. And then the only 1-4 team is Maria. And then the only winless team left is Gary. So that's the way the standings look. And as we look over on the Discord to see what I had, this is my screenshots from my app that I've been posting into the Discord every week. So the little highlights. So we look through the scores quickly once again. This actually says the name and the win and the streak that they have. Matt was 3-0, lost 2 in a row. Mason on a 2-game winning streak after being 0-3, so he's off to a good start finally. And I'm on a 2-game losing streak after being 2-1. We're on the down climb. We're on the fall, as like I usually am here. Here's the detailed results for each. And we go down on. Here's the standings. You can kind of see the score. 580. So both Bill and Dylan are in the 580s. Believe it or not, they're not even the highest score. There are 2 teams that have scored 600. And they both have 2 losses. That's crazy, isn't it? Imagine having 2 losses, but you got the highest score for the season. Both Caitlin and Colby. Over 600. I mean, it's only 20 more than Bill and Dylan, but that's also 2 losses more than Bill and 1 more than Dylan, so. And then you go down. My total is 501, so I'm 100 points behind the highest scoring. So it's an average of 20 points a week off the pace of, the highest score. So it's not too bad, but we're not getting the W's. That's the problem. My dad is 493, so he's close to me for points for our 2 and 3 records anyway. And Gary's at 465. That's really only 40 less than me, and he doesn't even have a win. So that's crazy. So your top 16 scores for the week. Are all these. I posted them in order. So Pat had the highest for the week. Mason was second. Caitlin, my dad, had the 4th best score. Dylan 5th. Brandon 6th. The highest losing score was Colby's 101.92. I was second with 99.76. Matt Fisher 3rd with 96.34. Maria had 96, and the other Matt had 93. Chuck and Bill's wins were below all of those losing scores. And then the lowest score of the week was Andrew with 64. So that's week 5 in the books. Week 6 coming up, and hopefully we can get a win and be 3-3, because I don't want to fall any further to below 500 than I have to. So we'll see what we can do. Hopefully I can figure out which team, if I can have the team be. Hopefully we can win. That's all I gotta say. I'm facing Chuck this week, who just got a W and scored 92. I typically been scoring more than 92 every week. So, I mean, if you look at it, 99.76. Go back to last week, I had 95. I think that was my lowest score. It was 95. So I'm like right at around average of 90 to 100. Then a 109 on the week I won against Andrew. And then we got 103 on our loss. And then 92. 92 was the lowest. So 92.76 in week 1 was the lowest, but I won that week. So 92.76, my lowest score would have beaten Chuck's this week. But we know what happens from one week to the next. As we look back, the lowest 2 scores, 2 of the 3 lowest scores were Mason and Pat with 63 and 60, who faced each other. And look, the 1 week later, they're the top 2 scores on the board. So it's crazy how things change from 1 week to the next. You never know who's going to play. So we'll see what happens in week 6. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. So long, everybody.